for you New Yorkers, Zoran Mamdani has fessed up. He fessed up about his aunt, who he said was bullied after 9/11 because she wore a hijab. I don't know what it's called. I don't care. I shouldn't have to know these words. I shouldn't have to know the proper pronunciation of a fucking rag that women have to wear on their head or the men beat them with sticks. In the, religion of love, in this wonderful religion that they try to push over here as empowering to women. Wear this rag on your head or I'll beat you with a stick. So empowering. So Mamdani was saying that his aunt, right after 9/11, was afraid to take the subway because she wore her hijab. And people were prejudiced after 9/11 against Muslims. And they would bully her. So she was afraid to ride the subway. Tragic story. So tragic. It kind of made me forget about the actual tragedy of 9/11 and watching people have to jump out of a 100-story window and plummet to their death or burn. That could be a tragedy. But Mamdani's aunt getting hassled, that's the real tragedy of 9/11. So it turns out it wasn't his aunt. Oh, it was his father's cousin who's dead and doesn't wear a hijab or didn't wear a hijab. This aunt that he talks about was in Tanzania at the time, 9/11. He was in Tanzania, so there was no bullying on the New York City subway system. And I had talked about this already, but I have the clip from Zoran Mamdani excusing it, trying to make an excuse. But he lied. He fucking lied. So let's listen to Zoran making an excuse here.
How will you respond to President Trump?
Recently, in a recent address about Islamophobia,
They're just asking about the aunt.
facing post 9/11.
Is that a blood relative?
Yes, I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own.
Oh, see, he couldn't even really say, yeah, it was my father's cousin. So it's not an aunt, and it wasn't the same woman he was talking about from Tanzania. And she died a few years ago. Like, the whole story was bullshit. And what's his takeaway from that? His takeaway is that Cuomo and other people's takeaway on social media was, oh, fuck Islamophobia and fuck your aunt and that. Muslims killed a bunch of people on 9/11, so fuck you. So he made an excuse for that and said, oh, that's your takeaway? No, not at all. At least for me, my takeaway has nothing to do with Islam or 9/11 or your aunt or your dad's cousin. My takeaway is you're a fucking liar. You're lying about this racism and Islamophobia that never happened. You're a liar is the takeaway. You, of course, have to keep it within this bubble of Islamophobia. Oh, that's all you took? When I talked about bigotry and racism in New York after 9/11 against Islam? And your takeaway was that I named the wrong relative when she was being bullied by... No, not at all. You're a fuck liar. That's the takeaway. That's the most important takeaway, in that you're running for the mayor of New York City. And you're a lying sack of shit. What else are you lying about? Unfortunately, I believe he's lying about his true intentions. And what he does say about his intentions is scary enough. Now imagine what he's not telling everyone. That's really the kicker here with Zoran Mamdani. He's willing to say he's a democratic socialist. What that means is he's a fucking communist. If he was a true democratic socialist, which I don't even know what that is, but let's say he was whatever that is, he wouldn't say it. He'd say he's a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. Well, I'm really a democratic socialist. And then if he was a democratic social, or if he says he's a democratic socialist, it means he's worse than that. He's a commie. But you got to, try to dial it back a little bit for the masses. And I cannot wait to see who this fucker's going to choose as his police commissioner. His fucking police commissioner. They all do it. Adams got in there. It was black guy, woman, black woman, this one, that one, the lesbian woman. And, completely castrating the NYPD. And crime has flourished because of it. And Zoran is going to choose, all of his cronies. All of his cronies are going to be horrible people that are all about communism and, this racial equality thing, which isn't equality at all. It's, hey, let's let people off the hook because of their skin color. This is great. This is Mamdani saying that policing and prisons are, first of all, they're racist. I've heard him say that, but they don't make us safe. Now, I would like to know what the option is that would make New Yorkers safe, that doesn't entail police arresting criminals and the justice system putting them and keeping them in jail and in prisons. That, to me, sounds like a great way to make the city safer. If you look at the crime stats under Rudolph Giuliani, you might remember him, America's mayor after 9/11, the scourge of the left now. If you recall, he really let the police do their jobs. Some of the most trivial crimes, he would make sure that those people were arrested and prosecuted. And the trickle down theory or trickle up theory to more serious crimes worked. And it got a lot of illegal weapons off the streets. It got a lot of criminals off the streets. And it got the criminals in a mindset of they're not fucking around, so I can't either. I can't just walk around and be a fucking thug because the cops will stop me. I can't carry around a gun all the time because the cops will stop me. Stop and frisk, and I'll go to jail. Now, nothing is done. And the judicial system actually putting people in jail, making sure the bail is high enough to keep them in jail until they are tried. And the trial is legit. There aren't these fucking Democrat agenda-driven judges that let people out because they're young black men and they don't want to ruin their life. Oh, they don't care about the life he fucking ruins or takes when he's back out on the street. So, that to me seems like a great way to curtail the crime and make the citizens of New York safer. Now, if you have a different way of doing this, my ears are open to listen to it, but I have yet to hear. I don't think sending social workers to a domestic dispute is the way to go. I don't think that's making anyone safer. So let's listen to Zoran talk about how policing and prisons would not and do not make the citizens of New York safer. Zoran?
The way that prisons are set up in our society, I would argue that they do not work. They do not make us safer. The instinct is to just take that person, the source of that harm, the source of that issue, and then just throw them away. Yeah. Put them in a cage and throw away the key. And And that doesn't address the reason why that harm was created in the first place. A lot of times, people who create trauma for others are those who themselves went through trauma earlier in their own lives.
Right.
And I bring all of this up to say that, again, like when we talk about policing, I don't think the system actually makes us safer. I think what it does is it just removes problems out of view. It just...
Yeah. That's great. Remove them out of view, remove them out of society, put them in prison and keep them there. Yeah. That makes people safer. How does that not make society safer? He's saying they put them away. Oh, it just puts them out of sight. Yeah, out of sight in a big cement building with metal bars so they can't get out. That's more important than being out of sight, is out of our society. So how does that not make people safer? And then his other statement there about, people that do harm to other people, they had a childhood, maybe, or they've had harm done to them. And that's really what I want to address. He wants to address that more than he wants to put these people in prison. What are we going to have fucking psychiatrists go to these police calls, social workers and shrinks, and talk to all these poor, hurt people? Does he understand? Obviously he doesn't. I'm answering my own question. Him and a bunch of other liberals do not understand. There are evil people out there who are beyond any type of help. And his system of helping people that have had trauma in their life, and that's why they put trauma on other people through violent crime. How do you plan on taking care of that? Because I'll tell you what a lot of that trauma stems from: generational welfare, having a single mother that is dumb as a rock, that has no fucking discipline over her children, a shitload of them. There's no father in the picture at all. And if there is, he's in prison or he's part of some criminal gang that is the only influence the child has. And everything that these liberal cities are showing them is that theft is fine, assaulting people is fine, being a criminal is fine. You're a great person. And Mamdani has spoken about that. He won't push back against young black thugs in New York City. And that would be the type of discipline and the type of intervention at a younger age that might stem the flow of crime in the future. I doubt it. But if you're going to, play the devil's advocate, then isn't that what Mamdani means? These people have suffered trauma in their early lives. We need to address that and fix that. How? By getting two parents in a household? If you mention it, you're a racist. If you mention that a black woman, an ignorant black woman raising 5, 6, 7 kids is a problem, and those kids are going to be a problem, you're a fucking racist piece of shit. Mamdani's not going to address that. So they'll grow up. It'll be the same shit, generational welfare, generational crime. And all he'll do is not put them in prison because the trauma they suffered as children. It doesn't make sense. One doesn't resolve the other. Prison resolves the problem. And very strict, strong, no-nonsense policing out there on the streets of New York, racking some heads, knocking some teeth out, and throwing people in jail and leaving them there until their constitutional due process of a trial is ready to go.